Hi, this is Robert Phoenix, and welcome to another edition of the 11th House. In today's brief little episode, we're going to be looking at April 18th, which coincides with the Festival of Molech, a Babylonian god that is being celebrated and has been celebrated around the world during these days. And the 18th, 19th, and 20th are often associated with bloody and tumultuous events. One of the things that astrology attempts to do, and I've attempted to do it recently when I looked at the Trump assassination chart, is to prognosticate events. I've often talked about some of these events on Regina Meredith's show, Open Minds, over at Gaiam TV. One of the dates I talked about on Regina's show is in the not so distant future. In fact, we'll be staring it down in just a couple of weeks. It's April 18th. And on April 18th, we see a cadre of planets go retrograde, including Mars in Sagittarius, as well as Pluto in Capricorn. Now, what's special about this day besides those retrograde planets? Well, Mars 18th, 19th, 20th, this whole gateway of that week of March represents a festival. It is the Festival of Molech. And Molech was a deity that was worshipped in the ancient days of Babylon. And what makes that so important? Well, guess what? On the 18th of April, they are erecting a digital version of the Gate of Babylon, the Portal of Babylon. Yep, that's right. On the 18th of New York, Babylon is being recreated for our very eyes, not just in New York, but also in London. They're working on this digitized version of the Gates of Babylon in China right now as we speak. On the 18th of April, it makes its world premiere in both cities. And of course, London is the center of occult and esoteric activity across the entire planet. And New York is the gateway to the United States and has a very powerful relationship with the city of London, the city-state of London. So what does it mean astrologically for when Mars goes retrograde? Well, that Mars retrograde energy in Sagittarius, which we've all been ramping up with and sort of dosing on over the last few weeks, decides to go in reverse. Now, what's interesting is that it forms a T-square with Neptune and with Jupiter and the Moon and the true node all in Virgo. Now, Neptune is in the 8th house for the time that I'm about to share with you. It's 12:12 p.m. New York time. And at that time, Neptune's in the 8th. It's in the sign of Pisces. It is the drowning god in the house of the underworld. It is opposed Virgo. Virgo is related to innocence and purity. And there's Mars right in the middle of the two opposing forces. The drowning god, innocence and purity. Mars, violence. Mars, power. Mars, energy. In the sign of Sagittarius, going backwards. Sagittarius is liberty. Sagittarius is freedom, and going backwards, it's not necessarily headed in the best direction. And by the way, it's also going backwards off the U.S. ascendant. Now at 12:12 in the afternoon in New York City, the ascendant is in the sign of Leo, 1 degree, the sign of the king. And on the midheaven, we have Aries, the ram, the symbol of the sacrificial animal, along with the lamb, of course, and the goat. All three of them share a role in ritualized extermination. So with the midheaven and Aries, Uranus is up there as well. That's disruption of order at high noon, New York City, 12:12 p.m. Now, what's also interesting about this stretch of days is that we have associated with April 18th, 19th, 20th, 16th, 17th, events like the bombing of the Oklahoma City building, the Murrah Building, the destruction of the Branch Davidians in Waco, the Boston Marathon event, which took place not that long ago, and of course, Adolf Hitler's birthday. They're all there. They're all around April 18th, 19th, and 20th. It is a supercharged time from an esoteric and occult level. And as the Temple of Baal is resurrected via virtual reproduction, we've got a bunch of planets moving retrograde. And it's not just Mars, it's Pluto. We've got Saturn getting a root backwards. This is a big, big time. This is a big time in terms of planets reversing and moving their energy in a different direction. And when we have a massive migration of retrograde planets, things go backwards. It is a major kind of pivot that we're looking at, a major about face. And I'm not alone. Just go ahead and type in those dates for this year. You'll see plenty of information that's related to what's happening in New York. And astrologically, what I'm seeing here is the desecration of innocence. This is clearly in this chart with the Mars square to Neptune and the Mars square to the Moon and Jupiter, the sign of the Virgin, and the drowning god in the 8th house. Just recently, somebody sent me a link to a Muslim imam, and this Muslim imam predicted that the world would begin to end on the 13th of April. This guy was very serious, spoke for an hour and a half, had over 350 million views. Something's in the air. I guess the real question is will you catch it?